Hello, class. Welcome to the week 5 wrap up, where I'm going to talk about some things I saw this week. As always, where we did well, where there are some improvements needed, and just kind of general impressions. So I'll just jump right in. Um, let's see, so interestingly, as I was editing the papers, written assignments from week 5, um, it's about a 50-50 split, maybe 60-40 split, with, I guess, 60% of you understanding the format for a student paper. You had your title page, and your headings were correct and your references were mostly correct. So I was very pleased to see that, and the papers were logical and easy to follow. So great job. You should have gotten your paper back. If you did not receive it, please let me know, because I did grade all of them, so I want to make sure I sent one to everybody. And then the other students are still just not, I don't want to say it's a matter of not catching on, but you're not formatting your papers correctly. You're not using a title page. You're typing directly into Moodle. So I really think, no, I absolutely know that every one of you is capable of producing a correctly formatted paper. I don't want to think it's a matter of you don't really care if it's right, because your master's, students, and I can't imagine you're here if you don't care, but there's some barrier for some of you why you are not formatting your papers correctly. So I am always here to help. I try to give you plenty of references, in the course forum, or maybe it's announcements I have pinned. I had it up at the beginning of the class, a whole sheet of URLs for APA formatting, and I do get the occasional, hey, where can I find how to format correctly? Right there. I generally will say APA style blog. Not blog anymore, APA style, or Purdue OWL. But I've got a bunch of them that are a bunch of URLs that should be very helpful, and they are pinned in, I think, the announcements forum, but could be the course forum. So, at this point, 5 weeks in, your papers should be formatted mostly 100% correct, unless there's just some confusion. And I did talk Wednesday about, I know that a lot of the resources are not, that UO People gives you in the learning guide are not formatted correctly. I'm dealing with that, but it is a slow process. So it is incumbent on you to make the corrections. In your paper or your discussion forum, it shouldn't be, well, I got it from, the learning guide. You're responsible for fixing the reference if it is not formatted correctly. Okay. But anyway, on your title page, there shouldn't be any assignment information. So some of you are putting like Unit 5 written assignment, or, don't do that. The title page is very generic. It's the same for everybody in any college using APA. So we wouldn't put UO People assignment information, because that would be, just for this school. And APA formatting, like I said, is broad, basically globally. Okay. Again, title pages are required. Do not use a running head. I know I have said that before. Do not use a running head. Student papers do not have a running head. So enough said. As far as an abstract, I do not require an abstract, because you don't have the page limits. So an abstract would count as one of your pages, and it's its own page. So if you're limited to 3 pages and one of those is an abstract, you're not going to be able to tell us very much information. So please don't worry about an abstract. if you just really want to do one, that's okay. But be sure you know what an abstract is when you do it, so that you are writing it correctly and how it is supposed to be formatted. Okay, I don't know what I was saying because I got interrupted by my cats. So I know I was talking about a title page and not using a running head on a student paper. So I think I'm ready to move on. Let's see. Okay, when you have a reference, particularly a journal, it's helpful if you include not only the year, but if you are given like a month or a season, so November 2008, it's helpful if you include the month and even day if you have it, because if so if your reader wants to go find that journal, for example, but they don't have access to the same library you have, so they have to go to a different online library. Particularly if there's not a volume number, or even if there is a volume number, if they just have the year, they have to search through every single journal, and if it's monthly, it's going to be 12 journals to find that one article. So it's very helpful if you will say, 2008 November, or 2008 spring, or whatever. So it's not required, but it, in my opinion, having had to search for many, many journals when I was working on my dissertation, it's very helpful to have that as precise, detailed information as you can to locate that journal quickly, or that article. Okay, so be careful in your papers not to use too many pronouns. So make sure that if you use a pronoun like they or it or their, that we know, or the reader knows who you're talking about, or what you're talking about. So I'm not saying that you have to repeat a person's name over and over, or an organization, whatever, but just as you're rereading your paper, take yourself out of being the one with all the knowledge, and say, would just a general person picking up this paper know what I'm talking about? So it's better to err on the side of keep saying the guy's name or the approach or whatever it is, because you don't want your reader to have to stop and mentally backtrack and go, okay, who is he talking about now, right? We want the reader we just want it to flow. So, and that's another reason we don't use too many quotes. One, you are a graduate student, you need to be able to synthesize what you are reading. So you get it from someone and you interpret it, and then you apply it and show your understanding. But the other thing is, if you have, if you're reading along and you keep having citations, it interrupts the flow. So just remember, you don't want your reader to have to stop and backtrack. That's another reason that paragraphs should have between 3 and 6 sentences. Some people say 2, because your reader, it gives them a chance to take a little mental breath, to refresh themselves. So all kinds of things that we have to keep in mind while we're writing. Who's our audience? What level of expertise do they have? We don't assume our reader knows what we're talking about. Now, here, obviously everybody's been in a few graduate courses and they probably know what PYP is. But my first term, I kept reading this PYP thing, MY, PYP, and I had no idea what it was because I don't teach in an IB school. So it's just things like that. Don't assume your reader knows what you're talking about. That's why we spell out things the first time and then abbreviate, or, whether we go into detail, or if we write a term that maybe not everybody's familiar with, we put it in italics and then we define it for the reader, okay? So I think that was about it. You will see in the grade book that I went in and both added and subtracted points from the discussion forum. If you got bonus points for your substantive and meaningful response, you saw that, how many bonus points you got, and then any citation or reference errors in your post, you will see how many points I subtracted for that. And in your papers, you will see at the bottom how many points I subtracted. I obviously won't apply them until next week after everything is graded. And also remember that I do grade your assessment. So when you assess your peers, if you don't give good feedback, like why you gave 8 out of 10 points, I'm going to subtract points from your assessment score. Again, just think about what you would want your students to do. If you're a teacher, you have expectations for your students, and so I have expectations for you. Well, the university does. All right. So I think that's about all I have tonight. So hopefully I'll see you at our Teams meeting. Oh, I shared the video from Lebo. I think I talked about it in maybe the week 6 preview. I can't remember, but Lebo graciously shared a video of her teaching her deaf students. I was thinking that, you could use that as a primary source. So it's in the course forum. Take a look at it. It's very interesting. I love seeing it. I would really enjoy seeing any of you teaching anything. If I always found that having, or videoing myself was so helpful, because I could see, if I called on the same students all the time, or, if I talked too much, or if I didn't give wait time, all those things. So if you ever video yourself, I would love to see it, just because it's interesting to me. I love seeing teachers at work. So, but we do keep the students safe, so we don't share the video without permission, and we certainly don't put it on the internet. I'm not putting it obviously on YouTube. It's just through the course forum. So with that, have a great rest of your Friday or Saturday. And like I said, hopefully I'll see you in the morning on Teams.